welcome everybody to the August 6, 2026 ESS Finance Subcommittee meeting. Real quick, before we get started, I want to make sure that we do have a quorum. So I'll just run through the list of members and then we'll make sure that we have a quorum. So Stacy here, Mel,
Here.
Sherry, here in the chat, Susan, Geraldine,
Here.
Amy,
Here.
Kelly, Natalie.
Here.
So we've got 6 out of 8. We've got a quorum. So we'll go ahead and let's start with the July 9th. Actually, are you guys okay if Robert goes first, be considerate of his time? Are you okay if we move his audit report up to the very beginning? Would you guys be okay with that? So then he can carry on with his day?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
great. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and Robert, if you want to go ahead and start. So we're
Certainly.
going down to page 176, I believe, of the packet. Thank you. Take it away, Robert.
All right, thank you. Just a quick introduction. My name is Robert Endress. I'm a partner with Denman CPAs here in West Des Moines. Denman's has had the privilege of working with ESS for a number of years now, and we were back again on site at your new location this spring, going through our audit procedures. Audit field work went really smoothly, and we have that audit report to share with the committee here this morning. So what you are looking at in front of you is what we call the governance letter. The governance letter is a document that's issued with every single audit our profession issues, and it's our opportunity to tell you things that we care about, that we think governance should be caring about as well when it came to our audit work and our audit procedures. So I always tell boards that when you're going through an audit review, the very first document you should look at is this one, because if there are issues, complaints, concerns, those red flags, they're going to come out right here in this governance letter. Now, I'll also tell you that when you work with Denman, we're never going to surprise you with an interesting governance letter. So, but the fact that you haven't got a phone call from me prior to this meeting, and this is the first time you're looking at that governance letter, should tell you that it's going to be a very boring read. And that's what we want. We want boring governance letters. And I'm happy to tell you that we have a boring governance letter here to look at. So I'll move through this relatively quickly here, but just a couple quick reminders in what's in this document. First, there are estimates in all financial statements. So as you read these financials, bear that in mind. There are estimates in there, and management is responsible for those estimates. As part of our audit procedures, we do look very carefully at those estimates to make sure that they are reasonable and appropriate in the circumstances. We believe they are, but they are indeed estimates. The other thing I'll highlight here, and probably the most important things I'm going to say this morning, are the top of the second page of this document, with the headers difficulties encountered in performing the audit. Now, right below that, corrected and uncorrected misstatements. If I could have you just scroll down just a smidge. And then finally, disagreements with management. Those 3 headers there at the very top of this page. You're going to find as you read, though, there's nothing to talk about. So no, we do not have any difficulties in performing our audit. We are not making adjustments to your financial statements. The ones that we are making are really, really, really incidental. And I don't have any disagreements with management. So field work went smoothly. We don't have any concerns. The internal financial statements that you are getting on a monthly and quarterly basis are very, very accurate. We're not having to fix those. So really good, really clean governance letter, which frankly, you could probably kick me off the call right now and feel good about the audit based on that. But we have a couple more things I wanted to share with you still. So moving on then to the audit report. Starting here on the 3rd page of the audit report, right there, the independent auditor's report. This 2-3 page letter just lays out a reminder of some of the responsibilities that each party has here, and then issues that we call our opinion on whether or not we believe management's financial statements are accurate. So, not to bury the lead, but in that second paragraph, we are issuing what we call a clean or a modified opinion on the financial statements, which is the highest level of assurance our profession can provide regarding the accuracy of what we are looking at here. I will draw your attention to that 3rd bolded paragraph, basis of accounting, just as a reminder that Fund 255 held at the state is not included in these financial statements. That's very intentional based on the structure of ESS. That's always been excluded, and we're just reminding the reader that information isn't presented here. They have to go elsewhere. You have to go to the state of Iowa to gain information on that Fund 255. Jumping then into the financials, I'm going to have you scroll into this document a little bit. I'm going to start you on page 9 of this document. That's right after the management discussion and analysis. where we have the statements of net position or the balance sheet for ESS for calendar year 2025. You have the prior year to compare against is there as well on the right-hand side. A couple highlights here as we look at this balance sheet. You'll see that cash balances are up roughly 400,000 year over year. Good operating year for ESS. We saw some improvement in cash position during the fiscal year. Not a lot in capital asset, not a whole lot of cash committed to new capital assets during the year. You see some movement in accounts that's purely non-cash events related to IT subscriptions. Total assets then just a shade under 3 million at the end of the fiscal year, 2,972,000. Liabilities fall below. Not a whole lot of excitement in the liabilities. Again, the most significant one relates to IT subscriptions. Outside of that, not a lot of excitement there. The unearned revenue, I'll highlight that. You see 153,000 last year, zeroed this year, merely timing of when the POS system agreements are signed with local counties and providers. So change there, but no net impact on the financial statements. Net position 2.4 million at the end of this fiscal year compared to 2.26 last year. So an increase in net position. Income statement follows here on page 10 of the audit report. Some good growth numbers in the current fiscal year. It's a 15% increase in recording fees year over year, bringing total revenues to 43.6 million, up from 36.8 in the prior period. Obviously, market conditions very, very important to ESS as those recording fees come through. But you're also continuing to see steady growth in the amount of e-recording that's done compared to older traditional methods. So I think we are up to 71% e-filings as of 2025, up from 67% last year. So continue to make progress on that. Expenditures are going to follow with revenues, especially with those recording distributions. But total expenditures for the year, 43.4 million, 36.1 of that being recording distributions. You look at the operating costs, not a whole lot of movement there year over year. Payroll costs down a little bit due to some position transitions. But for the most part, nothing too exciting there on the expense side. The final financial statement is the cash flow statement. That's on the following page. Quick reminder here, what this statement is doing is laying out where ESS uses and spends cash, where it generates cash, where it spends cash based on a couple of different tiers. Operations being the day-to-day core functions of the business. And then right below that, you can see capital commitments. So first, a little busy schedule there, but that first subtotal is what did the day-to-day operations do from a cash perspective? Last year, they generated cash to the tune of about $150,000. This year, $650,000. So you're again seeing that improved activity resulting in improved margins, increase about $400,000 in cash generated from the core business. What that cash generation gets to do then is you can reinvest in capital needs, acquisition of capital assets, reinvestment in internally developed software, or you can carry it and increase cash reserves. And a little bit of both happened here at 2025. Just short of $250,000 in capital acquisitions occurred during the fiscal year, and then about $400,000 was added to cash reserves during the year. The following couple pages here, the last few pages of the report, are the footnotes to the financials. They are here to provide a little bit more depth and context. They're relatively short for this organization just because of the nature of what you have going on, but I will highlight that page right there under the bolded measurement, focus, and basis of accounting. That again spends a little bit of time talking about how ESS is structured, the fact that Fund 255 is not included within these audited financial statements. So I wanted to highlight that. Then the final item here I was going to address is at the very last two pages of this document, where we have a letter related to internal control. So our engagement is to issue an opinion on the financial statements and whether or not we believe the financial statements are accurate. So that was the first letter we looked at a moment ago, where we have that opinion. This, however, we do have some responsibilities under our professional standards to gain an understanding of internal control. That's different than auditing internal control, but it does provide a reasonably comprehensive look at the systems and processes that ESS uses to maintain its financial records. Now, as we gain that understanding, if we identify deficiencies, we also have an obligation to evaluate them and elevate them to you if we think they're significant. So this is our letter pertaining to those standards and our work related to internal controls. And we are reporting to you that we did not identify any deficiencies in those controls. So again, another clean letter here saying no control deficiencies were identified to us during the course of our audit procedures. That really sums up the documents I had to share with you. But to recap here, governance letter, clean as they come, you have a clean audit report, clean opinion, and then no deficiencies identified during our work on internal control. So it's hard for us as a profession to give you a cleaner, more standard, boring audit report than the one you're looking at here this morning.
It's
With
Lisa,
that,
that is absolutely music to my ears that it couldn't be any cleaner, because we work very hard to make sure that happens annually. And much of the credit on this goes to the systems and processes put in place by Phil, that Samantha and the rest of the team follows, the audit prep that the Denman team provides to us, the homework, so to speak, makes the process much easier than when I started so many years ago, Robert, when we would be generating those reports like crazy the entire time you were in the office.
yes,
And
I
so,
do remember that. Yes.
yes, it was all sorts of fun. If
Yes,
anyone
some
has,
really good planning. Let me
yes,
jump in there. Really good planning on the part of the ESS team. They stay very cognizant of their financial reporting responsibilities. They want accurate financial statements. They have good team there going through that. They're staying ahead of their tasks, and I'm glad that we've made the audit a little easier for you, Lisa, as to get that work done. So it's not a complete scramble and a wash the entire week we're on site. So. Nothing but good things to say on our side as to how the audit process goes.
That entire week is what, a couple days now, because
Yeah.
it's so much easier with the prep
Yes.
that takes place.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Robert and team were here, and everything was perfect while they were here. So we're happy to have them in our space anytime they want to pop in.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Robert, very much, and your team. And also I'll echo what Lisa said, that to Samantha as well. Shout out to her. Does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns for Robert while he's on our meeting call? Hearing none, I would take a motion for approval of the 2025 audit report. So moved from Jerry in the chat. Do I have a second? Was that Geraldine? Thank you, Geraldine. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Robert, hey, again, thank you very much, and thanks for letting us put you at the top so you can get on with your day. So
Yes.
appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Robert.
Okay, so we'll go back to the very beginning on the top of the budget of the agenda.
Hey, Stacey, let's go back
yeah.
to the audit for 1 second, and
Sure,
that
go ahead.
Robert will either be here in person or virtually for the September ESS meeting to present the audit to that committee as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that update. Any other questions about the audit from the group or anyone on the call? Okay, hearing none, we'll go back to the July 9th summary of the subcommittee action, the minutes. Everyone have a chance to review. Do you have any comments, questions, additions, deletions? Hearing none, I would take a motion for approval.
This is Mel, I can approve.
Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
This is Geraldine. I'll second.
Thanks, Geraldine. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll go on to the financial reports. First with the accounts receivable update on page 5. Not very many there.
Just a couple there. One is for a county that their maintenance hasn't been received. We determined that potentially that went to the wrong email address. And we spoke with the recorder yesterday, and that claim has been submitted for payment. So we'll be good there, hopefully by the end of the month. And then American Escrow was a bad payment fee. So we'll be waiting for that check to come in and we'll be good to go. So these are very well managed.
Yeah, great. Any questions or comments about that? Okay, we'll just cruise right into the August summary of the July ESS payments with Samantha.
Okay. And just a few things to point out here. I did highlight the lightage solution bill for July, just to point out that this is a prepaid expense. And with some accounting changes that we'll talk about in a few minutes, that specific bill will now be going into prepaid expense as the bills actually for the month after. The $42.90 was to get some tables from Goodwill for our front lobby. And then there's two charges for $21.40 here. This is for an AI programming for our development team. It was just kind of to try it out. It's with Claude Services. The $23,244 is for our annual insurance, professional liability insurance. This is an annual expense, which is also going to be put into prepaid expenses from going forward, and then I will expense each month monthly. And then also here, I wanted to point out that we were able to save slightly over $16,000 a year with travelers. The $3,500 for Denman, this was just the final progress billing for the 2025 audit. Nothing very exciting on the credit card report this month. Everything is normal expenses that you see month to month, besides this $42.66, which was for a final domain registration. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the payment reports for July.
Thanks, Samantha. Does anyone have any comments, questions? You guys are awful quiet. Well, hearing none, I would take a motion for approval.
This is Mel. I can move to approve.
Thanks, Mel, and I'll go ahead and second. So moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I would like to interject that Susan got pulled away. She needed to help. The auditor's office is short staffed, so she was not able to hop on our meeting. So she just emailed me about that. Okay, we'll move on to the August Fund 255 reimbursement invoice found at pages 8 through 10 of our packet.
Fund 255 invoice for August 1st came in at $48,054.48. This is to help pay for the July payroll invoices. Just a reminder, this is the $1 fee that is attached to every recorded document in the state of Iowa. I'd ask for your acceptance and approval to submit this to the state treasurer's office.
Any questions for
This is
Samantha?
Natalie. I do have a question. So when Robert said the 255 is not in the audit, is this the one that we had the issue with a couple months ago that didn't get paid, right?
That's the 823 account.
Okay.
No, it was 255 that the funds
sorry.
went to the wrong account at the state, and then we received it back. So the audit for this account would be at the state level, not something that we could audit.
Okay, so we just kind of audit it, or Samantha audits that, I assume then, right? That's how it got caught.
Yes.
Thank
And then
you.
the 823 account also lives at the state auditor's office.
Correct.
Right.
So do they audit those? Or just, I guess, balance? I know we talked about this once before, sorry, but
Okay.
Yes, all the money actually goes to the Department of Transportation, and then is held at the treasurer's office. But I believe the Department of Transportation actually reconciles and keeps those records.
Yeah, I would think so. It just maybe not till like the end of the year. So, but okay, thank you. I
Any other?
will make a motion to approve if there's no other questions.
Sure. Okay, Natalie. Natalie's moved. Is there a second?
This Mel, I can second. Oh,
Oh, looks like Kelly got in there.
yep.
We'll
Let's do
give, we'll give Kelly the second. So moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. It's been motion approved. So let's go on to the bulk of the packet, the June, the second quarter, and the year-to-date 2026 financial reports, starting on page 11.
The Bankers Trust settlement account began with a beginning balance of $0 and ended with a balance of $0. And the account was successfully reconciled. The money market sweep account, also held at Bankers Trust, opened with a beginning balance of $1,202,097.74 and ended with a balance of $1,130,833.52. For June, the interest rate dropped a little bit at 2.53%. Interest earned for the month was $2,734.43. And the reconciliation for the money market sweep account. And the reconciliation for the drawdown account with a cleared balance of $126,607.60. The budgeted only profit and loss for June, with budgeted income at $224,956.01. With budgeted expenses at $148,002.28, with a net income of $76,953.73. For the whole profit and loss for the month of June, again, budgeted income at $224,956.01. Revolving income at $4,489,836.38. With a gross profit of $4,714,792.39. The main difference between the profit and loss that I showed you earlier and this profit and loss would be the reserve expenses. The reserve expenses for the month of June came in at $10,669.38. And then also the depreciation expense of the $18,337.02. With revolving expenses at $4,503,339.61. With total expenses at $4,680,348.29. With a net income for the month of $34,444.10. 2025 to 2026 comparison, money market interest up a little over $1,000 for the month. We're still seeing the point of sale income down 25% for the month of June. And then a 12.8% increase in e-submission fees. Fund 255 reimbursement up 168%. This is a little skewed because of those issues that we had back in February with the money being misplaced at the state treasurer's office. With a 41% increase in gross profit. The annual audit does look to be up a little bit compared to, down a little bit compared to last year. That's just with the billing being in a different month. The project manager down 47%. And then government relations. So this is the Rafferty billing. And starting in June, we are moving expenses to the month that they are actually incurred instead of when the bill arrived, to try to correct our financials a little bit. So this 4,000 is actually for 2 months. Insurance expenses down 97%. Just a reminder that this also will be expensed throughout the year instead of when the bill comes in. Bank analysis fees, looks like it's up 60%, but again, this is also to put the expenses in the month that they were actually incurred. And then the same with the professional solutions, the credit card, the ACH, and the POS transaction fees. Conferences and meetings, $696.04. This was for the ESS admin team members to go and participate in some district meetings around the state. And then the AccuSoft Prism, down 100%. So last year we had this as a reserve expense. And then throughout the year, we were able to move it back into the budget, and that happened in June. And then going forward, this expense normally hits in February. So going forward to next February, I'll be expensing this throughout the entire year instead of just in that 1 month. The SUSE license fees and as well as the AWS, looks like it has increased. The AWS looks like it's increased because we are moving expenses into the month incurred starting in June. And then the SUSE license expenses is currently being held in prepaid expenses, and I will expense that month to month. Local maintenance expense, we had that last maintenance expense invoice come in during the month for data, I believe. Net income increase of 730%, mostly due to using prepaid expenses and correcting our financial statements. Profit and loss for the second quarter of 2026, budgeted income at $510,151.78, with budgeted expenses at $428,250.65, with a net income of $81,901.13. For the full profit and loss for the second quarter, again, budgeted expenses at $510,151.78, with revolving income at $12,186,963.26, with total net income at $12,697,115.04. Reserve expenses for the second quarter came in at $105,196.85. With with depreciation for the quarter at $55,011.06. With revolving expenses for the quarter at $12,188,264.55. And total expenses at $12,776,723.11, with a net income of negative $79,608.07. Year to date, budgeted income at $1,117,960.17. With budgeted expenses at $1,073,107.61, with a net income of $44,852.56. For the full profit and loss for the year to date, again, budgeted income at $1,117,960.17. With revolving income at $29,737.95, with a gross profit of $22,647,968.12. For reserve expenses for the first 2 quarters of the year, reserve expenses came in at $130,521.05, with depreciation at $110,022.12. With revolving expenses at $21,536,080.28, and total expenses for the first 2 quarters of the year at $22,849,731.06, with a net income of negative $202,032.94. For 2025 to 2026 comparison, interest income is up 96.9%. And POS service fees are down 37.5%. E-submission fees for the first 2 quarters are up 10.9%. Just a reminder that the MOU service is no longer, we're not billing for that anymore, so that is down compared to last year, where in 2025 was 23,000. Fund 255 reimbursement is up 7.3%, so not a whole lot, but we are seeing that a little bit of an increase. And then the local service provider maintenance income up 7%. Last year, just as a reminder, we did only do those last 6 months in 2025, where in 2026 we did bill for those earlier in the year in January. Gross profit up 8.6%, or $88,764.93. For expenses, anything that I have highlighted all the way through the line are expenses that we will be moving to prepaid expenses and expensing throughout the entire year. I did not go back and do that for larger expenses that we had already had a financials approved for. After talking with Robert at Denman, he said that we should just probably start that starting in June. Annual audit, it looks like it's down 38%, but we will not be submitting our 2025 audit to the state treasurer's office until September this year. And then also that last billing for Denman didn't come in until July. Project manager down 23% compared to 2025. And then insurance expenses looks like it's down 95%. Some of those insurance policies start in June, and then that large travelers policy starts in July, but this will also be expensed throughout the year all the way into 2027. ESS meetings up 182%. This was due to all the extra meetings with the hiring of the new executive director and the mileage reimbursements that came with that. Office lease, it looks like it's up 52%. This will also be in prepaid expenses until the month following. We do prepay for our lease at the new office, and then we did pay for 2 offices for 1 month in April while we were in the transition of moving to the new office. Internet down 30%. We were able to find a comparable but a little bit cheaper internet service while moving to the West Des Moines office. And then firewall up 100%. So at the Johnston office, Enterprise Iowa paid for all of our firewall. And upon moving to the West Des Moines office, ESS will now be taking over that expense. Office tech support up 56%. This is mostly just due to the move and having the need for someone to help us set up everything at the new office. And then miscellaneous expenses. This was for shredding of old paper documents from, like the last 15 years from the old office, and then also to send flowers to an ESS committee member for a death in the family. Bank analysis fees up 18%. This is also a little bit skewed due to moving expenses into the month that the expense was incurred instead of when the bill comes in. And then the increases with professional solutions and Vericheck are due to also expensing those expenses in the month they incurred. And then the POS transaction fee is down because of the decline in transactions. Conferences and meetings up quite a bit, almost $5,000. In 2025, the project manager was not able to attend the annual PRIA conference, in which those expenses were reimbursed. And our new executive director is going to attend the annual PRIA conference this year in 2026. Policy coordinator, this position is currently vacant within the company. And then the ESS executive director computer equipment. This was to get the ESS director a computer back in March. This SUSE expense we covered when going over the June financials, but this is an annual expense that will be expensed throughout the year and into 2027, sorry. And then the AWS fee will also be expensed in the month that is incurred. The extra Slack charge here is for the 2 new ESS team members joining the program. This is the messenger, I guess, that we use inside the office. And then the Dropbox expense, we actually pay for this every year. We just decided to move it out of the software account and into its own account, so it's more clearly defined. For file redaction services, up 19.7%. And then technical consulting, this is for the former ESS technical lead to do or to migrate our system off Linux service. And the big difference compared to 2025 is those local maintenance expenses. Normally we were on a fiscal year and moved to a calendar year in 2026, where we paid all of our service providers in the first 2 quarters of 2026. Going forward, I will expense this month to month. Total budgeted expenses up 40% for $307,000. And net income down 83% or $218,000. Balance sheet as of June 30th, 2026. The Bankers Trust settlement account with $877,914.12. Just a reminder that ESS is accrual-based accounting, and this account actually always rests at $0. This is the unreconciled transactions in the ESS accounting software. With the money market sweep account at $1,130,833.52. With total assets and liabilities at $2,800,822.13. Journal entries for the month of June. We just had one purchase from Amazon, $177.50 that we moved back into the unrestricted reserve account. And then the depreciation for the month of $18,337.02. Also moved into the reserve account was the visionary service for $3,876. And the back file redaction service from Tyler Technologies of $1,043.18. All other journal entries were the daily entries moving money in and out of the BT settlement and Bankers Trust Money Market Sweep account. For the credit card, the old credit card, the beginning balance of $2,303.92 with an ending balance of $2,207.72. This will be the last month that you see the old credit card statement, as the old credit card for the Johnson office was closed. And the new credit card of a beginning balance of $1,008.80 and an ending balance of $904.61. And the reconciliation for the credit card account. For the Fund 255, for the month of June, a beginning balance of $217,673.51 with an ending balance of $173,828.61 with total receipts of $48,054.48, which is consistent with the Fund 255 reimbursement invoice approved earlier in the meeting. And the reconciliation for the Fund 255 account. With a profit and loss of a net income of $44,144.90. And the balance sheet for the Fund 255 account with assets and liabilities equaling $173,528.61. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the financial reports for June, second quarter, or year to date.
Can we screen a little bit bigger, please? The document.
And this is Kathy. I just have a couple questions. Number one, the flowers for somebody for a funeral, I didn't know, like for us, like our district and stuff, we personally put money in for dues and pay for that out of that. Where I've worked before, we've always just personally thrown money into the pot to buy flowers or cakes for birthdays, funeral things. I just didn't know if this is really part of government, if you can really use the money to buy those kind of things, or if it should be more of a personal donation buying flowers for people. Just a thought. And then I didn't know, like the Slack that you use, is there free versions or is there another way to communicate, like with a free app opposed to paying for Slack? I'm just always one trying to look for ways to cut costs, but those are some of my questions.
Thanks, Kathy. Any other questions or comments from the group?
Hey, Kathy, it's Lisa. So we've used Slack for a long time, very efficiently. It's something that we can certainly consider going forward to make a change. Possibly we could switch to Teams, but our team is really comfortable with Slack, and there's a lot of history in there, that you can find something if there was missing. So that's something we can take a look at. It should be noted that Jamie's not missing on purpose, or maybe she is. She and her family had a very long anticipated trip. And so they're traveling, and she'll return, I believe, on the 18th. So she's absent for a really good reason. And I'll let her share more about her trip when she's ready. Regarding the flowers, we sent flowers to Julie Haggerty when her father passed away, in recognition of the time that she had spent on the ESS committee. So it's maybe once a year that we do something like that.
Right. I don't have a problem with flowers being sent. I just feel like that should be more of everybody pitch in $4 or $5 to buy them. I don't know. That's just kind of what anywhere I've ever worked or here with the government stuff, we're not supposed to spend government money on stuff like that. And I don't know because it's taxpayer dollars. I know it's a little different. Iowa Land Records isn't exactly taxpayer dollars, but it is kind of a government entity. So that's just my question. Like, is it really?
I think it's a fair question. It's something we can review as we're working on the budget for next year. And we'll bring that to the committee in November.
Okay.
It also should be noted that you may have noticed the drawdown balance was larger than usual, and that's because the Department of Revenue increased their balance in anticipation of the end of the fiscal year and a heavier workload. So that balance was up about $50,000, I think, maybe 40, but somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000.
Thanks, Lisa. Other comments or questions from those on the meeting? I have a question really quick about depreciation. I don't know why I'm always have a lot of questions about depreciation. So I'm thinking forward thinking about the notification system. How do we put a number? I can't remember how we determine the amount that's for that depreciation.
Sure. So we will take the money spent with COT,
Mhm.
and then also the time that the developers actually spent on the notification system. And we will put that all together. And as soon as the notification system is done, we'll start expensing that over a 3-year period of time.
Thanks, Sam. I knew you would know. And then like the stuff with Visionary, that's just a website refresh, so that wouldn't be part of a depreciation expense, right?
I don't think so because technically the website already exists. I can talk to Denman about that and
I
see
just wondered.
what he feels. So
Yeah.
normally it would be like a software, like an actual asset that we own.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Samantha. I'm sure there'll be more once we get our final launch and project with the notification system. So I just wondered about that. Any other comments or questions for everyone on the meeting before I ask for a motion? Okay, hearing none. Any in the chat? Everyone, I have not been watching the chat. So Mel or Sherry?
Chat looks good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I will take a motion for, it's a long one, for the June, the second quarter, and the year-to-date 2026 financial reports.
This is Geraldine. I'll make that motion.
Go ahead, Sherilyn. Looks like
Sherry
Sherry
also
did.
moved.
Would you be okay, Sherry, being a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Now we'll move on to the 2026 budget amendment, starting at page 196 of the packet.
And Sam, again, if you can make your screen bigger. Or the document bigger.
Maybe it's 197. I might have the page number wrong. Sorry about that.
All right, can everyone see that?
Maybe a little bit bigger if you can. Unless you want to see my whole face in the camera. That's great.
Okay. All right, so not a whole lot of changes for this budget amendment. There's a minimal change in the projected point of sale service income. Just up 37,000 from when the last budget amendment came in May. July and June, it came in a little bit over what we were expecting. While the second quarter income for e-submission is above original projections, we are not recommending to increase the numbers for the remainder of the year. And the same goes for Fund 255 income for the remainder of 2026. Income since the May amendment is up about $75,000. For expenses, a few changes here. Sorry, I can't see the full screen.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Just a few changes here. So the ESS director is down compared to what we originally had it budgeted for. This is mostly due to insurance coming into effect that first or after that first month, and then also 401k doesn't start until 6 months after the employee has started. So this is down a little bit. However, in September, that will go back up and is expected to be what we originally budgeted for upon hiring, before hiring her. Project manager, we do have a contract in place. It's a month-to-month contract. We're expecting to see the following numbers for the remainder of the year. Possibly 6,000 for August, 5,000 for September, 5,000 for October, then dropping down to 4,000. This is a month-to-month contract, which is approved by the ESS committee.
Hey, Samantha, sorry, can you explain the colors again?
Yes, sorry. So the gray will be adjustments from the May budget amendment that was approved, and then the pink I highlighted for the accounting changes. So anything that will be put into prepaid and expense throughout the year, or expenses that are moved into the prior month. Just trying to correct our accounting month to month in our financials to make everything more transparent. The compensation adjustments that were approved in May, you do see that those have dropped to $0 for the next several months. And in conjunction with that, the team members whose compensation has increased was also adjusted. Those are also highlighted in gray. So we had two reviews completed since the last budget amendment for the account manager and then also the support coordinator. So staff composition changes will be made on the anniversary dates after reviews are completed. 2 reviews have been completed since May, and these line items have been updated with the compensation adjustment budget line item being decreased starting in August. The insurance line here highlighted in pink. Just a reminder that normally the 3 insurance providers usually bill in June and July. However, these were put into prepaid expenses and will be budgeted or will be expensed throughout the remainder of the year and all the way into 2027. So there is quite a bit of a drop here. 35,000. Most of this is due to it being expensed monthly, and some of it will be expensed in 2027. And then also the traveler's expense or traveler's insurance for liability. We were able to get a $16,000 deduction on that cost annually with the same coverage.
That's great.
It was a very pleasant surprise when we got that bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
The office space lease, I do have $0 for July, just because we do prepay that expense. And the $150 in miscellaneous expenses is for the open house at the new office happening actually this month, 2 weeks. The $3,000 over here highlighted at the very right of your page. This was for the website redesign focus group to come into the office. However, that meeting was canceled, so that was taken out of the budget. And then the conferences and meetings, we are moving the oh, sorry. So this expense was actually moved into September. And then the account manager and support coordinator, which we talked about when we were talking about compensation adjustments. This was just increased and highlighted in gray to show you that the reviews had taken place. Board file redaction services. I highlighted that in yellow because the bill hadn't come in yet before I sent out the packet. But it is continued to be estimated at around $5,500 a month. The data center and hosting services for Light Edge, highlighted in pink here just to show you that this is a prepaid expense and we will be expensing it in the month that it is actually incurred. And then technical consulting, this is actually a contract that will be approved in the September ESS meeting for Kelly Wallace to continue to help the system migrate from the Linux service. So this has not been approved yet, but I added it to the budget just to make you aware. And then the AWS expense here was moved into the current month. The DB2 license expense. So in 2025, we actually had this as a reserve expense, but was able to move it back into the budget at the end of the year in 2025. And going forward, we're hoping to keep that in the budget. The bill did come in July and was put into prepaid expenses and will be expense month to month going forward. And then the Slack bill also came in last month in July and will be expensed going forward. The SUSE license expense, we did have to purchase a few extra licenses this year. However, this will be also expensed monthly going forward. And then the red quad item highlighted here for $3,600. We actually have another approval in this. I don't know, Stacy, if you want me to cover that now or do you want to wait?
Why don't you wait?
Okay. Okay, so quad, we threw this in here. It can be approved separately or with the budget. But its expected cost is to be about around $3,600. And then last year we had a contract approved with Avenue, now Nemo, and DevNet for additional compensation to complete the API upload and download. And Avenue agreed to a $15,000 compensation if and when the API was finished on their side. And they are looking, and Lisa probably has a better update on this, but they are looking like they might be able to complete that by the end of the year. So I put that into the budget. Originally, this was approved to be a reserve expense. However, given the recent financials, we believe that we can put this into the budgeted expenses for 2026.
And Sam, real quick, DevNet, we offered, right? And they said, no, we're just gonna do it for free, right?
Yes, DevNet declined the additional compensation.
That's right. Okay, thanks.
And I would agree that Numo is very close. They've completed the e-submission API and they are working on the county upload API.
Awesome.
Bank analysis fees here again highlighted in pink, just showing that we will be moving that into the month that the expense actually was incurred. And then the same with credit card charges, ACH charges, and POS fees. With total budgeted expenses expected to be down $16,000, with a total increase in budgeted net income expected to be around $91,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot and I kind of stumbled through it.
No, and I really appreciate the memo with everything spelled out in it. That helps so much. Samantha, I know it's probably a lot of work, extra work for you, but I think this helps explain even the colors. So there's a lot, it's like we have a lot of moving parts, but it makes sense. Does anyone have questions, comments, clarification regarding the budget amendment that's proposed?
This is Natalie. I do have a question on the Claude, I guess, but when it's in the budget, do I ask that now or wait until we get to that memo?
Well, we can, if you guys want to wait and we can talk about Claude now. I mean, there's a good memo about it on page 202. So we can wait to approve the budget and just move on to the Claude request. If you want to go and talk about it, Samantha.
Sure. So the development team recently stumbled across this Claude AI service, I guess, and Myrna has been kind of testing it out for the last couple months and would like to continue using it. I guess it's helping with their coding. Lisa, you probably.
I think that the use of AI for processes is much more generally accepted and almost expected in our world today. We did have conversation with both Myrna and with Kelly the last time he was in the office and saying, yes, absolutely, we're using it. It will increase their efficiency. And given the limited development staff we have, I think this is a really good move. If any of you have done anything with AI, maybe use ChatGPT to write a memo or an email or something like that, you know how efficient it is. And we need to bring that efficiency to our development team.
I think this is a minimal amount that's going to help them. I mean, just regarding, look at all the benefits that was listed on page 203 and 204.
Agree, Stacy, 100%.
Divide 3,600 divided by our developers that we have. That's a minimal expense, I feel. I mean,
yeah, it's $100 a month per developer, which is real doable.
And it might take a little bit off their plate.
This is Jamie. So Director Jamie and I meet every Friday to discuss things that are going on at Iowa Land Records, and I'm not like a huge AI fan, so I had a lot of questions for her. But one of the things that she told me was this is a closed loop system, so it doesn't go out into the world. It just stays within our development team. So anything that they put into this AI system stays with Iowa Land Records and is not, again, going out into the general world, which I thought was important. I don't want us to be put into a security risk, but once she explained that to me and the savings that this could potentially bring to Iowa Land Records in terms of our staff time, I think it could be a worthy investment for us to do something like this.
I would agree. I look at it as, how many of you type a Word document and then you hit review and it helps you with your grammar and your spelling. I look at it I mean, I'm not a techie, but if this can help them with a minimal cost, I would support it. So any other questions about this with the Claude software? Well, hearing none, would it be all right with the members to go ahead and ask for a motion for approval for the Claude software, and then we'll circle back and talk about the budget amendment approval request?
This is Amy. I
Sounds
can make
good.
a motion.
Okay.
Mel,
Sure.
I can second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the Claude software for our developers. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll circle back to the 2026 budget amendment. And really, anyone on our meeting, if you have more questions, comments, please ask now. Anyone? Well, hearing none, I would go ahead and make a motion for the 2026 budget amendment. Do I have a second?
This is Natalie. I'll second.
Thanks, Natalie. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? It's been moved. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll just have some updates on the ESS Financial Strategic Review. So we'll start with metrics on page
So
205.
we're up a little bit last month. I believe it's about 5%. So we're heading in the right direction. The highest July since 2021, which was the best year for e-submission. And I can tell you in the first 3 business days of this month, there were $4,600, I think it's 4644 documents recorded electronically. Those recorders that I talked to on Monday indicated it was a really busy day, and we could see that on system action. So everything's going really well, and minimal problems with submissions. I feel like most of our people are well trained. The submitters, not our team. Our team is really well trained, but most of our submitters are well trained to put out fires or call us if they need help. And I appreciate that all of the recorders say, call Iowa Land Records. They'll be able to help you. And we can look at the group and walk them through anything.
Great. Okay, thanks, Lisa. Do we have the Iowa Department of Revenue contract renewal, page 206?
That's me too. So we have a contract with the Department of Revenue. This is extending the contract that is in place. This is for the integration with Iowa Land Records and the Department of Revenue so that they are submitting things through their system to our system instead of doing everything manually like maybe your local bank or attorneys do. They also have a manual account that they used when something fails on their end. So it's been a good relationship with them. They are one of, I think, 4 drawdown accounts we have. So they submit money to us and we use that when their documents are recorded. So we have no problem with the Department of Revenue, and we would request your approval for this extension. This will also go to ESS in September for their review and approval.
Yeah. And I think it's not a action item, but it's just recognizing that this was done because it starts before the ESS coordinating committee meets. That's kind of the way I took it.
Yes, correct.
So yeah, I think it's kind of, hey, we're just giving us notice about it. So any comments or questions about that? Okay, we'll move on to the Kelly Wallace developer contract. renewal.
Same thing. This is an extension of the contract with Kelly. Originally was for him to move the operating system from Linux to SUSE. I believe he would agree that he's not had as much time to work on that as he would have liked, but we still want him to work on that when he has time. And additionally, he's a really good resource for Myrna when something comes up that she's not familiar with. So I see he's a really trusted member of the team, and we miss him and wish him well in his new position, but we do need him to finish up this job and work with our team to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And I do see that Jamie, Director Jamie had asked for approval from both the ESS Coordinating Committee and Finance. So I think that I would ask for a motion for approval to approve the new contract for Kelly Wallace from September 2026 to 2027. Oh, it
Looks like Sherry.
Yep, Sherry moved. Is there a second?
This is Mel. I can second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Discussion on the search, submit, succeed, trademark, and registration discussion.
Sam, is that me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a discussion we've had that we want to consider trademarking this search, submit, succeed, because it's kind of our slogan out there. So there's a cost associated with it. I don't have that number in front of me. We would work through Brooke Gentry, our attorney, to make that happen. And we'd be open to any questions that anyone may have. It's fairly minimal expense. $2,500, is that right?
I think that's what the estimate was.
I think it's a great idea to trademark it so no one else can use it. So any other comments or questions, guys, about that? Does that mean it is registered to ESS ILR? Question mark.
I believe yes.
We can get more information.
We can get more
Yeah.
information on that.
If you want to provide us some more information for our next meeting
Yep.
before the ESS Coordinating Committee meeting in September, that would be
Absolutely.
awesome. Okay. Any other comments or question? Okay, so Kelly was asking, does that mean as recorders we can use that?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, we could probably get some more clarification from Brooke Gentry as well.
Yes.
So add that to your questions to ask, Lisa, if you would. That'd be awesome. Any other questions about the trademark and registration of the search, submit, succeed trademark? Okay, we'll go on to the ILR public site redesign project update.
Kristen?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. The update today is a little bit different because we were preparing for launch to happen over the night last night. But in our final checks, we saw that there was a potential for a security risk. So we have put that on hold until we can do some additional testing. Obviously, we don't want to launch anything that could have any risks. So we're investigating that further. Myrna is actually helping the team with that. So we have both sides of consideration looking into that issue. There isn't anything that specifically happened. We just want to make sure that this is all questions are answered before we launch. We're coordinating a specific date with the visionary team right now. We're hoping to still get this launched by the time we see you guys at the ISAC conference What is that on the?
2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we're scheduled to present on the 20th at ISAC. So we
Great.
will, as soon as we get that date figured out, we will let you guys know. We really appreciate your patience with this. This has been a huge project, and you know how we are. We are very, very specific in our processes and want to have every question answered, every potential scenario tested, and so that's why we're delaying that launch for now. But we will keep you guys updated as we know more.
Thank you, Kristen. And thanks to all the recorder volunteers that have been working diligently too on this task force. So, okay, any questions for Kristen and the team? Okay, the last on our agenda list is the ILR Property Notification System Project Update.
It's me. Are you tired of listening to me talk? It is
No.
coming along really well. Our team continues to meet with the COT team a couple times a week. We had a really good meeting on Tuesday and have put some things in place that we hope to have everything done in our staging environment by the end of this month so that we can do some pretty robust testing. So what that will involve is additional data being loaded into staging so that we can test. There may be an opportunity for recorders to jump in and help us test too. If you're interested in that opportunity, let me know. We'd give you access to the staging environment and give you some test scenarios to work through so that you can create a notification, you can receive that notification, and as a recorder, so you would receive the notification as the user, but then as the recorder, you would also be able to see the notifications that were sent for your county. So you will not be able to see the notification profiles established in your county, but you will be able to see the notifications that have been sent. And that will be helpful when a customer or constituent maybe would ask you some questions. So that's coming up. We'll have more to tell you about this next week. Our hard launch and marketing plan and all those things will be in October, I believe, with maybe a soft launch in September. So exciting times. We anticipate a lot of calls from users on how we work through this, and we are still formulating the marketing plan. So if any of you have ideas of things you definitely want for your office, or if you're together with your district, let us know. But anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you all at ISAC. A side note that Kristen, Jamie, and I for sure will be there all afternoon. We are anxious to hear the presentation on fraud from Dylan Malone, who is with ITG and serves on the ESS committee. Jamie, I believe our presentation is 3:30 to 4:30. We're going to let Jamie go first because she needs to be at a back to school event for her youngest son. So if you have things that you want to talk to Jamie about, grab her early on a break or something like that so you don't miss that opportunity. She'll also be here part of the day on the 18th for our open house if you're planning to pop in for that event.
Thank
Questions,
you.
anyone?
Anyone have questions, comments, anything for the good of the group? Great meeting today, guys. We covered a lot.
So
whole
I
bunch.
have one thing. This is Jamie Stargell. I would like to have us start having some discussions around the maintenance agreements and what the future of that may or may not look like. I understand like our hands are a little tied right now, especially since we didn't get our legislation passed. But I do think we need to give that some consideration, and I understand that's going to take some time. So I think it'd be nice if this group would start working with Samantha and Director Jamie on what the future of that looks like. And I honestly, like, I have no idea. I just know a lot of our recorders want that subject approached.
In what way, Jamie?
We've talked about getting rid of it. Having Iowa Land Records assume the cost of that, which I know is probably not feasible. But I don't know if there's a way to reduce cost to recorders. Do we push it all back on the recorders the county is to pay for? I mean, I don't know, Lisa, honestly, I'm just kind of spitballing here on just some general ideas that, I've heard from others too. So I know everybody's looking at finances right now, countywide, statewide. So we just need to start having some discussions on what the future of that looks like. And maybe it stays the way it has been. I don't know. But I just want to do what's best for the recorders and what's best for Iowa Land Records as well.
And I think there's room. I think about, just what we pay for our own service providers in our county and how you have a seat at the table to negotiate that. Then maybe there's a way to negotiate with our service providers as, as our users to negotiate a less rate or not a huge increase. So then recorders can budget for that, ILR can budget for that, and not in an ideal world, it'd be great if ILR could cover the cost, but in my eyes, it would be nice if they didn't charge so much to have that communication between ILR and the service providers. So maybe this is a way to have our representation of each county that has that actual user to talk about that. I don't know. So
And I
it's
know like these are connected to the maintenance agreements as well. And I just want it to be said from me personally as Adams County recorder that I do believe those need to stay in place. We need to have some type of agreement with the service providers, in order to, like update the APIs or whatever it is that we need from our service providers to do for Iowa Land Records. Those to me are very important to the way we do business.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie, for your comments. We can add that to our agenda for September to talk about as well.
So remember that we do have a clause in the contract that limits the amount of increase that the service providers are entitled to annually. That's based on the cost of living adjustment by the Social Security Administration. So it's 2 or 3% annually, and that we have done the cost sharing for probably 15 years now. So that's considerably brought the cost down for the counties. I'm not saying we can't look at it.
Right.
It's Sam. What did we pay this year? 140,000 to service providers.
It was probably like double that actually.
I think you're right. I'm sorry. So,
it was about $280,000.
So I think that Jamie's opening statement that because the legislation wasn't passed, that is certainly a consideration.
Yeah. Right.
And how many service providers is that?
It's Cut Solutions, Tyler Eagle, DevNet, and Numo.
Data.
5.
Oh, and Data. Yep, 1 for Data. So very small.
Okay. Any other questions about that or comments for the good of the group? Well, hearing none, we will see everybody September 10th at 9 o'clock for the next ESS Finance Subcommittee meeting. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you at ISAC in 2 weeks. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
bye.
Thank you.